Hello everyone, I'm Ihsan. In this video, I will review Xiaomi Redmi Note 8 Pro smartphone. The smartphone comes with the latest MediaTek processor. The processor is specially optimized for better gaming performance. Redmi Note 8 Pro comes in 3 colors option. There are white, green and also gray color. For those of you who are watching the video from this channel for the first time, this channel is mainly about the latest smartphone and tech reviews. So if you are interested, consider subscribing and also click the bell icon, so you'll be notified when there is new video from this channel. Okay, now let's just check out the review of Redmi Note 8 Pro smartphone. The screen of this smartphone uses IPS LCD screen with a dot drop notch design for the front camera. The display screen is quite bezel-less with a bottom bezel that looks a little wider than the side bezel. The front screen is protected with the Corning Gorilla Glass 5. The rear side also comes with Gorilla Glass 5 protection. The screen size of this Redmi Note 8 Pro is 6.53 inch with a screen-to-body ratio up to 84.9%. The maximum resolution is up to Full HD 1080 by 2340 pixels. It also comes with 19.5 by 9 screen ratio and 395 ppi pixel density. The screen of this Redmi Note 8 Pro also comes with the maximum brightness up to 500 nits. Even though the screen still uses IPS display, the brightness has reached 500 nits, so it already feels quite comfortable to use outdoor. The screen display has also support HDR video. The maximum multi-touchscreen response on Redmi Note 8 Pro supports up to 10 fingers. The screen response is also pretty responsive and comfortable to use when playing games without any touch delay. You can see the result of the touchscreen response test while playing Rail Drum games on the following video. Now let's take a look at the build quality of this smartphone. Redmi Note 8 Pro smartphone has a quite premium build quality for the smartphone on its price range. The front and the back of the phone also comes with Gorilla Glass 5 protection. It is already more resistant to scratches as compared to polycarbonate material. The weight of this smartphone is 200 grams and it feels a little heavy on hand. Maybe because its battery capacity that already comes with 4500 mAh battery. The rear design looks pretty different from Redmi Note 8 smartphone. The 4 rear cameras on Redmi Note 8 is lined up vertically on the left side of the phone. On this Redmi Note 8 Pro, it looks like there are only 3 cameras here, because the macro camera is under the LED flashlight. The size of the camera frame also appears smaller at the bottom of these 3 cameras. There is a fingerprint sensor with a rounded shape design that follows the shape of the camera above it. The camera bump looks pretty thick, but because its position is in the middle, it doesn't feel too annoying when using it on the table. Especially if you already use a case on it, it will feel more comfortable. At the bottom of the camera setup, there is a fingerprint and prints of 64 megapixel AI super camera. And also Redmi logo at the bottom printed vertically. The dimensions of this smartphone is quite large. The height is 16.14 cm with 7.64 cm width and 0.88 cm thickness. With this dimension, this smartphone still quite feels comfortable in hand. Maybe it's because the rear design is already curved. When using the default case on the box, this smartphone will feel thicker as compared to without using any case. If you feel uncomfortable with the thickness of this smartphone when using this default case, I highly recommend you to just look for another thinner case. After using this smartphone for almost 2 weeks, I feel that the position of the fingerprint is easy to reach and can also be distinguished easily from the camera above it, although the shape is equally round. The design of the fingerprint that was made a little inward also quite helpful to distinguish between fingerprint and camera when you want to unlock this phone. The speaker on this Xiaomi is only one at the bottom and still not stereo. Next to the speaker, there is a microphone, USB Type-C port, and a 3.5mm audio jack. At the top there is also a microphone hole and an infrared sensor for the remote functions. On the right, as usual, there is a volume button and a power button. On the left, there is a dual nano SIM hybrid slot without a dedicated microSD card slot. If you only use one card or use two cards but no need to use microSD, this won't be a problem for you. For the sound quality, you can hear the sound of this Xiaomi speaker on the following speaker test. Okay, that's the sound quality of Xiaomi Redmi Note 8 Pro speaker. Now let's take a look at the features and connectivity of this smartphone. This phone comes with 4G LTE and Bluetooth 5.0. This smartphone already uses the latest Android Pie 9.0 with MIUI 10 user interface. But now, of course, it already comes with the latest MIUI 11 update. The smartphone on this video comes with 6GB of RAM and 64GB internal memory. For the sensors that are available on the smartphone, you can check out the sensors on this Sensor Box app. Now let's talk about the performance of this smartphone. The smartphone comes with 4500 mAh battery capacity. It feels pretty efficient in everyday use. Even when trying to use this phone for only playing games, the battery can last up to 8 hours. And still have 15% left. The process of charging this phone also supports up to 18W fast charging. The 18W adapter is also already available inside the box, so you wouldn't need to buy the adapter separately. When playing heavy games on the smartphone, the heat from the smartphone still feels fairly acceptable. The part that feels warmer is only on the left side of its camera, and for other parts don't feel hot at all. When playing games, we certainly rarely hold that part. So for me personally, the temperature of this smartphone is not a big deal and still pretty reasonable. If you see any other smartphone with the latest high-performance Snapdragon processor, the temperature will also increase when playing heavy games continuously. This smartphone uses MediaTek Helio G90T processor and Mali J76MC4 GPU. To see the performance of this smartphone, let's try some benchmark tests like Antutu and Geek on this Redmi Note 8 Pro. Here are the results of the Antutu and Geek benchmark test for Xiaomi Redmi Note 8 Pro. Next, this is the results of gyroscope test. Gyroscope response speed is quite responsive and fast. When playing heavy games on this MediaTek Helio G90T processor, I feel that the performance is pretty impressive for the smartphone on this price range. This is an example of gameplay when playing PUBG mobile games with smooth extreme settings. If you used to play this PUBG mobile game smartphone on Snapdragon 660 or 665 smartphone, when playing on this Redmi Note 8 Pro smartphone, you will feel a significant difference. And that is the example of gameplay on Xiaomi Redmi Note 8 Pro. For the camera, the Redmi Note 8 Pro comes with 4 rear cameras. There is a 64 megapixel wide-angle 26mm camera with f1.9 aperture. There is also an 8 megapixel ultra-wide camera 13mm with f2.2 aperture. Then there is also a 2 megapixel f2.4 macro camera, and also the depth sensor camera is also 2 megapixel. The rear camera can record 4K video up to 30 frames per second. For slow motion video, there are 120 frames per second, 240 frames per second, and also the maximum up to 960 frames per second options. The photos with a natural light condition looks pretty good for the smartphone with 64 megapixel resolution on this price range. The HDR feature also looks pretty good in maintaining the cloud and sky details in this photo. Sometimes in some lighting condition, the HDR feature seems a little difficult to preserve some details on the background, especially with backlight condition like on this sample photo. but overall the results are good enough. The use of AI on the smartphone camera is also pretty helpful to make the photos look bright and colorful. On this sample photo, when activating the AI, the color saturation of the grass will be slightly increased and looks greener, and it will be certainly more interesting. Overall, the result of the photos are pretty good with the latest 64 megapixel sensor on this Redmi Note 8 Pro. Especially if you remember the price of the smartphone is below $200 US. For the macro lens, I'm still having trouble getting a good photos using this 2 megapixel macro lens. It seems that this small size sensor requires a lot of light for more optimal results. But clearly in everyday usage, I think this is the lens that I will not be using most of the time. But who knows, maybe it will be useful for you at certain times. So when you suddenly need a macro lens, the macro lens is already there. Next, there is also a pretty interesting feature on this smartphone, which is a high-resolution 64 megapixel photo mode. The 64 megapixel feature on this smartphone can get you photos that you can zoom in without losing much detail from the photo. For the smartphone on this price range, this is a feature that is quite useful in everyday use. The camera of Redmi Note 8 Pro also comes with night mode. It is very useful when taking photos at night. Here are some sample photos using the night mode on the smartphone on Redmi Note 8 Pro. The night photos looks pretty standard, but the night mode features will definitely help improve the details on the photo at night. For the camera quality of a phone on this price range, the photo quality is pretty good and above the average as compared to other competitors at the same price. For the front camera quality, you can check out a few samples on the following photos and videos. And that's all the sample photos and video from Redmi Note 8 Pro camera. Other interesting features on Xiaomi Redmi Note 8 Pro besides its 64 megapixel camera is the support of HDR video. It also supports Wi-Fi L1. This is a feature that is quite important for those who like to watch Netflix in full HD resolution. So to sum up, this Redmi Note 8 Pro smartphone is suitable for those of you who want to have a smartphone with a large battery, good and fast performance to play heavy games, and of course with affordable price. For those of you who still need a smartphone with LED notification light, the smartphone also still has LED notification light on the right side of the front camera. With 4500 mAh battery, this smartphone is also very suitable for you who need a backup smartphone. Maybe especially for playing games with a fairly affordable price. But even though the price is affordable, the gaming performance is already smooth and fast. Anyway, there is also the downside of this smartphone. The smartphone feels a little heavier on hand and it doesn't feel too compact. So for those of you who want a compact and not too heavy smartphone, it might not be a suitable smartphone for you. But this downside can actually be strengths too. Because it weighs 200 grams, the battery can have a larger capacity and of course the screen is also wider. So you feel more comfortable watching YouTube or playing games on the smartphone. That's all for the review of Redmi Note 8 Pro. If you have questions about Redmi Note 8 Pro smartphone, you can leave your comment on the comment section down below. Don't forget to click the thumbs up button if you like this video and also subscribe for those who haven't subscribed already. See you in the next video.